In today's video, I'm going to be sprinting through 50 game-changing and must-know tips for Destiny 2 PvP. These are the things I consider to be the most important keys to success, and I really wish I knew these things when I was less experienced because I would have improved a whole lot faster. I don't know how I have a 7.3 seasonal efficiency, but the tips I mentioned in this video are the foundation of my PvP strategy, and I know for a fact that these things make a big difference if you want to be a successful PvP player. Back to the content, we're just going to jump right in with the tips. You guys asked me these questions in the Discord server, and I'm just going to answer them as fast as possible while still hopefully being thorough enough to convey valuable information. How can I strafe more effectively in PvP? Strafing is an essential part of a player's movement toolkit, and it decides the outcome of so many gunfights. You should be strafing back and forth, irregularly, and perpendicular to your opponent so that it makes you hard to hit. Strafing forward and backward does almost nothing. Make sure you're unpredictable about it, and you can also strafe to help yourself aim. Need to make a tiny adjustment with your sniper? Don't use your aim. Use your strafe instead. It's often better for fine adjustments. Also, don't strafe in such an absurd pattern that it causes you to miss all your shots. How can I be more consistent with my shot and performance? I hear this one all the time. Sometimes players feel like they're nailing every shot one day, and the next day they can't hit the broadside of a barn. First off, it's super important to recognize that as humans, we all have good days and bad days, and there are also some factors out of your control. Some days you just happen to match seemingly unbeatable Trials opponents on your least favorite map, so you simply play worse. Instead of worrying about that, focus in on what you can control. Make sure you're sitting in a similar way at the same distance from your monitor and try not to fidget around a lot in your physical setup. Make sure that you've got enough sleep and that you're eating well. Try to use the same weapon over time to build consistency and confidence with it. This leads right into the next question: how can I manage tilt? Tilt is when you're generally unsatisfied with your performance, and unfortunately, it just leads to you playing even worse. If you want to avoid becoming tilted, you must take a look at what's in your control and what's not in your control, because at the end of the day, there's no reason to get pissed off about something that you can't change. Since you seriously can't do anything about OP abilities and Bungie putting Kinderguardians on your team, it's better to focus your effort on things you can control. What stats should I focus on as a hunter? Run 100 mobility. If you're not running 100 mobility, you're actually throwing, unless you're using Dragon Shadow, and even then I still recommend using 100. Mobility gives you more dodges, and dodge is super important, especially for console players. Go for recovery next, and then intellect or discipline, depending on if you care more about your super or your grenade. When aiming, should I look at my opponent or at my crosshairs? Look at your opponent. Try to look at the exact place you want to hit in the very center of their head. In real life, apparently it's the opposite, but in Destiny, it's best to look at the target 99% of the time. What's the best time to pop my super? This one really depends a lot on what supers are on the opponent's team and how the game is going, but a general rule of thumb is to cast your super pretty quickly after you get it. If you hold onto your super for ages, you're never going to get it back, and if you just pop it, you'll almost always get another super in the game, so it's totally worth it. How can I avoid using my super and still dying? Don't overextend in roaming supers. I know it's tempting, but if there are 3 guys at the back of the map just ready to annihilate you with their Vorpal weapon mods and snipers, you don't want to just give them that free kill. And don't be afraid to solo super. I know it feels absolutely awful to be on the receiving end of a solo super, but if it means winning a 1v1 in Trials or saving your life in a close game, using your super to get the W is often the most logical decision. Should I capture zones in control? No, why would you ever do such a thing? How can I rush with a shotgun and still be effective? Like 90% of the shotgun naves out there are annoying, but most of them also have like a 1.0 KD. They run in, get between 0 and 2 kills, and then they die because they're super overextended. Being a negative KD shotgun rusher might be kind of fun, but you're really not doing your team any favors. Make sure you're paying attention to every source of information at your disposal. Constantly glance back and forth from your radar and the center of your screen, and keep an ear out for enemy footsteps, jumping sounds, and supers. Even though you're in close quarters, I can't stress how important it is to hug cover and avoid taking damage as much as you can. Your goal should be to take no damage until you're within that 5 to 10 meter shotgun range. Challenge yourself to do that. How can I get a 7th column? I tend to get this question whenever I put a 7th column in a video. Long story short, it usually involves pushing from the middle of the map all the way to the spawn, having good movement, near perfect aim, probably using a super, and getting a bit lucky. There's no specific way to go about it, and 99.9% of players will never get one, so don't be too hard on yourself about it. How can I choose a good weapon pairing / loadout? A common philosophy here is to cover all of your ranges. So you want a weapon that's good at close range and a weapon that's good in medium to long range. A common example is hand cannon and shotgun. But I mean, that isn't always necessary. For example, I was running Messenger with Sniper last weekend and destroying people in Trials, and those are 2 very long range weapons. As long as I can manage my distances and play passive enough that shotgunners can't get close to me, 2 long range weapons can be very viable. What's the most important stat for weapons? Well, as a sniper main, I would say aim assist, but it really depends on the type of weapon you're using. I've heard that smashing the like button does give you plus 25 aim assist though, so I definitely recommend it. How do I predict my opponents? Pick up on their movement patterns. If you notice that Joe the Hunter with the pink shader loves to fly through the air and hand cannon you, start aiming in the sky when you know that he's nearby. If Tony the Titan with Dune Marchers likes to do his 1,000 yard slide at you all the time, start aiming a bit lower and away from cover so that you have your crosshair immediately on him. Same thing goes for shotgun rushers. If you notice someone only relies on their shotgun, literally just stand out in the open and primary them. I noticed these two dudes in Trials refused to put their shotguns away, so I did exactly that and got some free kills.
Dude, these guys are shotgun heaps the whole time.
What's the best way to use my class ability? For hunters, you should always be using your dodge to escape bad situations, turn rapidly, and just generally be evasive. If you're on controller, the dodge should be your absolute best friend because it allows you to instantly change directions, which is normally impossible. For Titans, your barricade should be used to extend the side of cover. When you approach a lane, pop it to see your enemy in third person and gain more cover, or to guard a revive. For Warlocks, you should also be placing your rifts right at the edge of cover so that you can strafe in and out of cover while still receiving the benefits. Also, due to the lengthy animations, Warlocks and Titans should basically never pop their class abilities when out of cover. I'm struggling in solo queue comp or trials. What should I focus on? This is tough. Playing in a team-based mode with blueberries is never going to be easy, but there are some things you can do to realistically turn the odds in your favor. Start following your teammates around and taking crossfire angles to support them. Whenever I play trials against solo queue players, they're almost always super uncoordinated because they all want to go to different spots of the map. This leads to them all getting 3v1'd and they literally don't stand a chance. So since you can't control the blueberries on your team, it might be best to follow them around even though they'll probably go to really bad positions. The next step is, well, to get a team. Add a good player after the game and see if they want to join up with you. I met a ton of cool people by doing this, and this transitions perfectly into the next question: how can I make friends to play with? I 1000% believe Destiny is most fun when played with friends, so finding cool people to hang out with is clearly important. Like I just said, adding people after Rumble, Trials, or Comp can be a great way to say GG's and maybe you'll join up for some games in the future. Although I'm a bit biased, I think the best way to meet cool people is by joining my community Discord server at discord.gg/shadowdestiny. We have non-toxic LFGs and there are some super smart people that can answer literally any question you might have about the game, so you should definitely hop in by clicking the link in the description. I also hang out in the Discord pretty often, so I'd love to see you there. Do I need to warm up before playing PvP? Short answer, no. Long answer, you probably should. I know it can be extremely annoying to warm up before jumping into PvP, but maybe just spending 2 minutes in patrol focusing on only hitting Drake headshots is worth it. You might also just do a couple games of Rumble before jumping into Trials or Comp. Do you have a warm-up routine? Let me know in the comments. How do I know when to run away? This is actually super important. The best players in Destiny are pros at recognizing unwinnable situations and rotating to a new part of the map to level the playing field or perhaps even gain an advantage. The key indicators of when to do this are cover, teammates, opponents, and supers. If you're in the middle of nowhere and you're getting pushed by several people, you definitely need to get out of there ASAP. But if you're chilling next to a lot of cover and you've got teammates nearby, it's time to be aggressive. Push that advantage while you have it, or you may lose it. My opponents are killing me before I can even react. How can I avoid this? This often means that you have terrible crosshair placement and that you're sprinting around the corner. When you're moving around the map, make sure that you're 100% focusing on locations that you think enemies will be. Of course, you'll get better at doing this over time, but just make sure that you're centering your screen on locations that you think an enemy will appear, so if they do, all you have to do is ADS and shoot and make very minimal adjustments. If you're dying before you have time to react, chances are you weren't looking at the right areas and you weren't playing close enough to cover. My team is really struggling in Trials. What can we work on to be more effective together? This often comes down to communication and execution on that communication. This might seem counterintuitive, but it's often best to make the wrong decision together than to make the correct decision alone. If your teammate says, okay, let's push in 3, 2, 1, you just gotta commit and go with him. Chances are you'll surprise your opponents and you'll get the W because you're team shooting. Another key strategy is the turn and burn. If you notice a lone enemy on the radar, call him out to your team and have all 3 of you guys gang up on the solo player. It can take some practice to do this well as a team, but if mastered, this will win you so many Trials games. Is movement really the skill gap, and how can I improve? Movement is certainly important, but it's really just another tool you can use to be more effective in PvP. I see a lot of players that focus so much on their movement that they simply just end up having terrible aim because they're moving so sporadically. This can be effective against noobs because it's hard to track someone who's flying around the map at Mach 10, but ultimately I think you should try to strike a balance between unpredictable movement and maintaining accuracy. Maybe add a crouch into your strafe, but don't make it so insane that you miss all your shots. Take a nice vertical approach with your hand cannon, but don't overextend so hard that you die if you miss. Movement is really important, but just make sure you're not going so insane that you end up missing. Should I practice aim training, and what if I'm on console? I do think aim training can help you master the mechanical skill of acquiring and accurately eliminating targets. There are a bunch of aim trainers out there for MNK. The only thing I'll say is you can't just exclusively aim train and then expect to magically become good at the game. As I just pointed out with movement, it's just one of many skills that makes a good PvP player. On console, I think that practicing your aim in-game can be a good idea. It's tempting to just get lazy and hip fire your PvE opponents, but I found that setting a goal like only getting precision kills in a strike or whatever can go a long way towards improving my accuracy over time. I've also done things like going into a patrol and quickscoping as many Cabal as possible to improve my quickscoping accuracy. How do I go on longer kill streaks? It might sound obvious, but survival is the key here. Even if that means getting fewer kills overall, you gotta live long enough so that you can get that "we ran out of medals." Play with your teammates to reduce the chances of getting cornered by multiple opponents, and maybe even equip a shutdown super and save it to annihilate that pesky Spectral Blades hunter who wants to wipe your entire team. What keybinds and button mappings should I use? There are a ton of viable ones, but for a controller, your goal should be to never take your thumbs off of the sticks. Map your jump and crouch in such a way that you can press those buttons while still moving, turning, and aiming with the sticks. For M&K, you want to put regular actions near your WASD keys so that you can quickly and easily press those buttons. What video settings should I use? Turn motion blur off. Please just do it. It smears the screen whenever you turn around, and it will make it impossible to spot enemies. Turn VSync off and put your settings on low if you're trying to maximize FPS on PC. How can I bait or manipulate my opponents? This is a pretty nuanced topic, but a really easy way to do this is to slide towards an opponent who's camping with a shotgun, and then immediately turn around and create some distance. Due to the way this shows up on their radar, they'll often aggro and push with a shoddy, and you'll just be able to primary them. You can also really throw off people by throwing a grenade one way and then pushing the opposite way. Alternatively, faking an approach in one direction and then immediately doubling back and taking up a new position often results in free kills. How can I win 1v3 situations? Whenever you're faced with more than one opponent, a key is to only fight one of them at a time. If you get team shot, you're certainly going to lose. Use cover strategically to make sure only one person can see you at a time, and just remember, don't freak out. It's a high pressure situation, but if you just treat it as a series of 1v1s, it can feel a lot more manageable. What should I do when I'm playing against opponents that are way better than me? Honestly, don't try to drastically change up your playstyle if you match some cracked gamers on the opposing team. Don't lose your confidence as a player. If you become scared and start camping in the spawn, that will ultimately lead to you being an even easier target for them. Play as you usually would, but maybe just be a little bit more conscious of peeking a sniper lane if you know they've got the world's best sniper locking it down. How can I communicate better with my teammates? Cut out all the BS callouts. Nobody cares if you got shot through a wall, and nobody needs to know that you died to some OP ability for the 22nd time. Instead, use the comms to relay essential information. Where are the opponents? This is underrated, but where are you? Stop going on solo flanks while not telling your teammates about it. Now that Trials has limited special ammo, call out when the sniper has used up his 2 shots. It takes processing power in your brain to both talk and comprehend what your teammates are saying, so it's incredibly important to keep your callouts as valuable and to the point as possible. How do I learn what lanes are good to take on a map? You can either play a whole lot and learn from your experience, or you can come watch my Twitch streams and see what lanes I take. I'd also just love to see you in the chat, so please come say hi sometime at twitch.tv/shadowdestiny. I keep changing my settings and loadout every game. Why am I struggling? Okay, nobody really asked this question in my Discord, but seriously, quit changing your loadout and settings every 2.35 seconds. Find something that you like and then stick with it. You're never going to build muscle memory and truly get comfortable with the build if you're constantly messing yourself up by being inconsistent. How important is sliding now that it got nerfed? Really important. Like, even though it got nerfed, sliding is still super important in PvP. You should be sliding extremely frequently to get from cover to cover and to approach a lane to engage your opponent. If you walk in there at head level, you're just gonna get instantly domed by a sniper. With that said, you should vary your approach. Sometimes jump into the lane and hit some aerial shots. Sometimes just shoulder peek and hug cover to take your shot and then dip. It's important to slide to be evasive, but also mix it up from time to time so you don't get predictable. What's the best way to tell if I'm improving? For whatever reason, you guys always click away from the videos when I say this, but record your gameplay. It's seriously not that hard, and reflecting on your performance and reviewing your mistakes and successes over time is crucial to actual PvP improvement. Should I get a recovery or carry service? You'd be better off just deleting your account. How patient should I be when hardscoping my sniper? It really depends on the pace of the match. Sometimes the best play in a trials match is to watch a lane for a full minute if you've coordinated with your team, and the plan is to get supers and pop them near the zone to win the round. On the other hand, hardscoping in most 6v6 games is just asking to get flanked and cornered. Regardless of the situation though, make sure you unscope about every 1 to 2 seconds to check radar and be safe. How can I use the radar more effectively? There tends to be two types of players. Those who stare at the radar and then have awful awareness, and those who never look at the radar and also have awful awareness. The key here is to look back and forth between the radar and all other indicators on your screen. The analogy I like to use to describe the radar is like your mirrors when you're driving. You check them frequently, but you never stare at them. What sound settings should I use? Turn up the sound effects, turn the music off or at least lower it, and turn down the dialogue volume unless you want to be deafened by Shaxx and Saladin every 2 seconds whenever some unremarkable event happens. Also, use a good headset, it matters way more than you might think. I'll link mine in the description for anyone interested. Should I play controller or mouse and keyboard? If you're on PC, you're faced with this decision. I think you should just decide what you're more comfortable with and go from there, or just make a decision and commit to it long term. Although M&K elitists will make fun of you for using controller, just ignore them and acknowledge the fact that each input device has its own advantages and disadvantages. If you put in the effort, you can be a top player on whatever input device you like. I've watched every PvP tips video on YouTube, why do I still suck? I've gotten this comment a few times, and I mean the truth is that PvP tip videos are super valuable in my opinion, but they don't do you one shred of good if you don't take the time to implement what you learn into your game. Absorb some of the knowledge from this video, practice doing those things in game, and then come back and watch the video again, because realistically there's a 0% chance you'll be able to do all 50 things at once. How do I know when to go for a trade? This is usually the play when you're completely surrounded by opponents, and the best move is to just go for one kill before dying. This is a common phrase in tournament level play when someone finds themselves in a 1v3, so they just try to offset their nearly inevitable death by trying to get at least one kill. I know vertical space is important, but I suck at using it. Any tips? Here are 3 classic and extremely powerful uses of vertical space. Number 1. Fly above the doorway with a shotgun and wait for people to come through for free kills. Number 2. Take an off angle like this one, and this one. Nobody expects them and they give you free kills. Number 3. If you're low on health, use a combination of cover and your jump ability to make it harder for your opponents to find you so that you can regenerate your health and possibly bait them into a team shot with an ally. How can I outplay snipers with my primary? If you're not sniping, quit peeking the sniper lanes with your short range weapons. You're just asking to get domed. Instead, rotate, flank, close the gap, and do whatever it takes to get in close range with them and flinch them with a high caliber weapon or force them to duel you with their primary. My hand cannon shot really sucks. How can I improve? I made a video explaining exactly how to master hand cannons. It should be on screen now and in the video description. How do I know when to use my primary and when to use my special weapons? I can't overstate the importance of this, but just learn the effective ranges of your weapons and strictly follow them. So many Guardians try to close the gap against me with their shotguns when they should really just be using their primaries. How do I successfully execute a flank? Step 1. Tell your teammates about it and tell them to hold their ground if you're in a voice chat. Step 2. Make a wide rotation far away from the enemy to avoid their radar. Don't jump because that makes noise. Step 3. Take up a location where you can see your opponents, but make sure you can escape in case they see you. Step 4. Either get free kills on distracted opponents or rotate back to your team if they see you. How do I use cover more effectively? There is a ton of nuance that goes into using cover effectively, and I actually think it's the #1 most overlooked skill that separates top players from the rest. So I made a video about it with an actionable rule that you can apply to your game. I've had so many people comment and tell me that they've doubled their KD or they got their first Wii ran or flawless or whatever by simply applying the rule to their game. So I'll link it in the description and on the top of the screen now so you can go check it out. What can I do to improve my primary shot? This only applies to non-automatic weapons, but pace your shots. If you're firing fast and missing, that does exactly 0 damage. But if you're firing just a little slower and hitting your shots, that's infinitely better. Also, practice your primary in PvE, shoot it at a wall and try to get the bullets in exactly the same place, and quit trying to use your primary in the air if it's a primary that isn't accurate in the air. How can I find out what controller sensitivity and settings are best for me? I really do think that controller sensitivity and settings are heavily influenced by personal preference, but in order to make an educated decision, you need to first understand how sensitivity works. I made a video about this because it turns out it's super complicated and 10 sensitivity isn't twice as fast as 5, meaning it's not linear. I'll link that in the video description and it should be in the cards right now. What should I do if I'm cornered? My advice is to pick the closest opponent and fully commit to that gunfight. If you win, you'll have a way to escape. Even if you lose, taking that 1v1 is still better than waiting to get team shot because you were indecisive. Before we get into the final question, I have a question for you, the viewer. If you've learned something that really helped you improve in the past, comment it down below. Let's start a conversation where we can all help each other improve by creating the ultimate collection of game-changing tips down in the comments section. I know what weapons are popular, but what weapons are really the best right now? I spent a really long time considering this question and made a video ranking the 12 weapons that I think are the absolute strongest options for PvP. That video is on the top right of your screen now and linked in the video description, and I'd strongly encourage you to check it out. Also, please consider subscribing for more videos like this one. Thank you so much for watching.